Okay, today we're going to be talking about the American Revolution. Now, on March 22nd, 1765, the British Parliament passed the Stamp Act to help pay for British troops stationed in the colonies during the Seven Years' War, or known to us as the French and Indian War. The act required the colonists to pay a tax represented by a stamp on various forms of papers, documents, and playing cards. Now, this tended to really make all the settlers and the colonists mad because they were being taxed, but they didn't have any representatives in the parliament. They couldn't elect anybody to represent them to have a say. So those angry settlers later there was a tea tax that was administered against them, and they had a tea party where basically they threw all the tea that they were being forced to buy into the ocean. And later on, the British responded with what was called the Quartering Act. They sent some troops over there to help investigate and quell the possible uprising in their minds and look for maybe arms or stuff just in case. But they also forced all the citizens to house the British soldiers and feed them. So they were making everyone else pay for it. This is also a way of, in King George's mind, of making people pay for the war. Hey, you're paying for the cost of these soldiers. Later on, the British soldiers heard about the start of something called the Minutemen. They were a group of, a lot of them, former veterans of the previous war. They wanted to meet at a minute's notice in case the British were trying to seize their arms or go further with their oppressions. They met at two battles, Lexington and Concord, and one of them, the first shot was given, known as the shot heard around the world. And this was the start of the American Revolution. And now, the good thing to know about the start of this revolution is the Americans don't necessarily have to win battles. They have to merely not lose the war. They can lose a battle, leave, and if their army still exists, in a way that's a victory. The British, on the other hand, have to go on ships all the way from Britain over. And if they fail to capture the enemy, they have to spend that much more money and resources just to go capture the enemy. And they haven't really got anywhere, even though it might be a victory in the field. The cost that they have to spend to win battles is immense. Now, by 1776, George Washington was the commander of the Continental Army, was on the run from the British all the way. He was ran out of New York. The Continental Congress later that year declared independence from Britain on July 4th, 1776. And later that year, Washington got some information. Washington crossed the Delaware in the snow on Christmas night in 1776 and captured many Hessian troops, or German mercenaries. So he was able to get some key victories, but he picked and chose his battles carefully. In 1781, the Continental Army trapped the British forces at Yorktown, Virginia, with the help from the French Navy, and the British surrendered. By 1783, the British and the American colonies signed the Treaty of Paris, declaring the states to be independent of Britain, mainly because the war was going to cost too much money for the British to send troops over. And their old enemy was helping us out, and their navy was being thrown into the fight. So the war was going to increasingly cost more and more money for them. So that's just a preview into how our nation was started.